I built a coffee machine, and behind the scenes are two underlying powerful features: delegates and events. But before that, I used a switch case statement to determine how to brew the coffee based on what the user selects. Each coffee type has its own predefined recipe. Hold my coffee. Building this coffee machine, I had two ways to go about it. The first one was using an options list or a switch case statement. So, if a user asks for latte, we brew latte. If a user asks for cappuccino, we brew cappuccino. But now, this is not very flexible and scalable, assuming we're distributing this coffee machine to various retailers, because each and every one of these retailers might have various recipes. And if they want to update the recipe, that means we'll have to update our coffee machine, which is not good for us. Now, the second option was using delegates. With delegates, we don't really care how the coffee is brewed behind the scenes. All we care about is that the recipe must return a coffee. This way, we can have built-in coffee strategies for brewing common kinds of coffee like latte and the rest, and also give retailers the flexibility to define their own custom kinds of strategy or recipe to brew any kind of coffee they would like to. Now, all our coffee machine cares about is the strategy or the recipe that brews the coffee, and then the brewing command that initiates the brewing process and fires events at various stages. Back to our point of interest. What is a delegate? A delegate basically is a function pointer, that is, a pointer to a method. It lets us assign a method to a variable and call it later. This way, we can store a method in a variable or even pass it as an argument to a method. In our case, instead of having to brew a coffee based on a predefined set of recipes, all we do is define a delegate, and in our brew method or our brew command, we invoke that delegate, which can be any strategy that returns a coffee. Can I have my coffee now? Thank you. Now, the coffee is done, but how do we inform the user? That brings us to our next point of interest. What is an event? An event is like a notification system that allows us to broadcast messages to various listeners when something is done. In our case, we have various events that are fired. The first one being when we start brewing the coffee, the second being when the coffee is done, and the last one is if we encounter an error. This way, the user is always informed at every stage of the process. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.